Well, I'm Alan Dale from Gale Force Winds, and I want to tell you, I'm having a wonderful time here at the Association of Allied Health Professionals. This is the We Are Here podcast, and I want to tell you, these folks really are here. They're making a big difference in Newfoundland and Labrador every single day that they go to work, and I love chatting with them one by one. And on that note, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
I'm Kim Maher. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist working at the Janeway.
Okay, that's a mouthful right there. That's quite a title. I want you to break that down for me. Exactly kind of what does your day in, day out look like?
Good question. Basically, we work at the Janeway with in child development with children ages 0 to 18 who have a variety of issues in development. Mm-hmm. So for the youngest kids, it's talking about feeding, sleeping. Then as they get to toddlers, it's talking about their play. As they get closer to school age, it's talking about all the things that they need to do to be successful in their school day. So following routines, fine motor skills, being able to cut, being able to draw, print, those things. And then of course, as the kids gets older, then it gets into a bit more socialization, higher academics, and then into sort of transition to adulthood and all those skills. So can you manage a bank account? Do you know how to write a resume? What's your future going to look like? So, for occupation for kids is everything that they need to do at the stage of life. So play, school, function, job.
Yeah, initially, I was thinking very focused, very technical skill set, but the way you just articulated, very broad.
Very broad.
It's a very broad thing that you're involved in, right?
Yeah. Any occupation, meaning anything that you need to do to be successful in your life. So. Right.
Well, that's a near perfect way to describe it, sort of at the kitchen table to people. How long have you been in this profession, and sort of what was your pathway to it?
My path, I've been in the profession for over 30 years, and my pathway to it was directly in right out of school.
Yeah. Was there something about it that drew you, or did you know much about it?
No, back then it was the job that was available in the system, and I actually really wanted to be a hand therapist, and so couldn't be any further removed from that. So,
okay.
Very drawn to, my early days were on the rehab side of things, so working with children with physical disabilities, and from there got really into regulation and the sensory side of things. So lots of kids with developmental issues have a lot of issues in regulation and being able to, come to the table with the right state to learn. And so that sort of became my passion, and that's where I am today, working with a lot of kids with autism at the moment.
Yeah. It strikes me as a type of profession, like many of the people that I spoke to in the allied health profession, that you get a lot more back than you give every day.
You do.
Is that right?
Yeah, the success stories are the kids that keep you coming back. Right. I remember years ago there was one of my stories that stays with me all the time is this young fella. He was probably in grade 4 or 5, and he had come into clinic, and he was really upset that day because they had decided in the school system that they were going to take him off his regular curriculum because he wasn't able to cope. And he was so upset because he couldn't do the regular curriculum. He kept saying, I could do this, I can do it, I just need extra time, I just need extra help. And we went back and had a little conference. The whole team had seen him, and the doctor really quickly articulated that he's much more aware of his abilities than he is of his disability. So what else could factor in? And I was tasked to go look at his vision, and it turned out that he had a significant vision problem, and that when that was addressed, he went on to graduate not too long ago and sent a picture. So that's the stories that you're in their real life, looking at all the pieces that fit to make fit the puzzle together, and then you get an outcome that he will go on to be a contributing person to our society. So
wow. That's a beautiful story. You have been around the system for a while. You see, 3 decades. You said. I want you to look into your experience and talk to me about some of the challenges that the healthcare system is facing right now.
Volume, definitely not enough staff to manage what comes in. I look back in 2020, so that was the year of COVID. We received in occupational therapy 400 referrals, let's just say. with the same number of occupational therapists in our system right now, we are up in the 800s. So it's a double capacity. Long wait lists. Our evidence is all leads to early intervention, and we just can't get to these kids. So if you're referred at 2 now, you are 4 before you're going to see us. Like that's, think about all the skill development and life that happens between 0 4 and then,
Right.
moving forward into the bigger transition that you have going to school with not a lot of skill development. We're not really setting kids up for success. And for occupational therapy, one of the biggest challenges we have is that we are the only province in the country that does not have school-based occupational therapists. And so what that means for us is that we are seeing kids at the Janeway that are from 0 to 18. And when you get to school age, a lot of the issues happen in the school system. And although we are as health-based professionals trying to provide service in the schools, it's really an ineffective service. We need to be part of that school team. We need to be in the environment of the school. I repeatedly, my colleagues come back to school and say, well, I went in there and there was all these behaviors and the kid was sat down waving at me, hi, like no, and then it's repeat visits to try to see these behaviors that, that they're wanting us to see and they're wanting us to help them with. And then the other piece of it, no different than our health system, but the education system is, struggling with staff and resources too. So even if we have recommendations to make to these educators, a lot of times they come back and say, well, I don't have the space, I don't have the personnel to do these things. So we feel, for occupational therapy, pediatrics right now, one of our biggest challenges is that there are none of us in the school system. We are all health-based.
Yeah. I want to take you back to that beautiful story you told me. And part of that, you talked about the team got together and we looked at it from a different lens and found a solution. And that gentleman went on to graduate, and a beautiful story. But what struck me was that you are solution providers.
Right.
You guys come together as groups and as teams to provide solutions and find pathways to help people. And using that lens and taking your experience, where do you see the opportunities right now in the healthcare system? Where do you see that glowing light that we can do this, we can do those things?
It's definitely, definitely team-based focused, and teams surrounded or in the environments where kids are, right? So like a health team connected to the school system, where it's, speech, OT, psychology, social work, all of those, I'll call them like school plus teams. I think that's really important. I also think that that same model is very relevant in the early intervention. So like a health-based teams that can be associated with daycares in our community. So we can get to those issues. You're there in the moment of when you see things. You can help the whole class. You can help children, keeping them off bigger wait lists because you're there. You can help them. You're giving some support to the people that spend 7 hours with these kids every single day, as opposed to them just coming into a clinic for 1 hour with their parents, which is perfect. That's great and that needs to happen too. But, for these kids who are not with their parents all the time, they do need support in other ways. So I see that as being a way forward, a really important way forward, really.
Staying on the team theme, you've got an incredible conference happening here. You've got all of the professionals coming together, collaborating, sharing ideas. Talk to me about what you're excited for in the conference and what you hope to get out of this.
It's my very first one, so after 3 decades of work, I'm glad I made it here. But the collaboration and seeing all these people coming together around common themes is really quite powerful. Networking would be a thing that I would like to take away from this.
If you could have an audience with the decision makers, policy makers for the healthcare system right now, what would be the one thing you would ask them to take away? Just that one thing.
For allied health in general?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think recognition of what we do and what we bring to the table. Recognition that we are health professionals, that we're regulated professionals, that we have autonomy, to work independently and keep the public safe in our work, and to understand that our work is collaborative and not not necessarily recipe focused, but it is that clinical analysis, that ability to take what the child and the family bring to the table, to be solution focused and help that kid with, or the family with, whatever the issues are in the environments that mean and make it relevant to the families.
And that's what making a difference in the Newfoundland and Labrador healthcare system looks like. Thank you.